Hi, my name is Jamie Tardivo Evans, and this is my American Cultural Reaction video for my class COM-263. When first reading the article, Body Ritual Among the Nakarema, I thought, wow, some of these practices are really different and some seem a little crazy to me. I couldn't seem to wrap my head around some of them. I had thought a few times, I found my mouth gaping open as I just kept reading. I've experienced different cultures before, so I wasn't judging their practices, but was taken back at how each ritual was described. But then I read it again. I had to chuckle, realizing the name. Nakarema is American, spelled backwards. I began seeing through the descriptive words to see the rituals of Americans. I think the author had a fabulous way of describing one's culture from the perspective of another, like what they might see from the outside looking in. This truly put me at a better perspective of my own culture. Just because you might do it one way doesn't mean that someone else sees it that same way. A way a person describes something affects your judgment. I noticed that with this. Like when he said hog hairs for the toothbrush. I was like, what? Who would use hog hairs to put in your mouth? And then I found out that the very first toothbrush were actually hogs' hairs taken from the back of their neck. It wasn't until 1938 when the first nylon bristles were first introduced. I found it in an article from the Library of Congress in 2019. But for an example, I think praise and worship at church can be different from culture to culture, as well as music, in which people sing and listen to while worshiping, from hymns, Christian music, gospel music. A person's culture in worship can also be from standing in silence to singing low, to where they're standing and shouting and praising and raising their hands and dancing before the Lord together. I remember the first time I experienced another culture in church. I kind of stood in silence and just watched the room explode. Even though it was different from what I knew, it was also so magical. It has led me to find my own way to worship in my own relationship with God. I think since COVID hit and so many churches began to close, that worship has changed for so many. People now are still contemplating whether to even return to church. A lot of people want to stay home and watch service over the internet. I know for myself, I feel the difference from watching service on TV to standing together and worshiping, together. Like it's such a different atmosphere. It's a different type of feeling. I remember the first time coming back into church after all the lockdowns and everything. I remember that feeling that I had. I didn't think I missed it until I walked back in, and it was just my whole body lit up. So I saw the difference right there. There is nothing like worshiping God together on one accord. Hebrews 10:25 says we should not neglect the assembly of ourselves together. For believers, we know that God did not just put things in the Bible for no reason. He put them in there for instruction for his people. It is for our good that we come together and encourage one another in strength, for the Lord's day is coming. But I really enjoyed reading this article and being surprised that from the first time I read it until the second time I read it, because it just completely changed my perspective on a person's culture and how you can see it. So thank you very much.